and welcome back to Cooking with MoWino. Today we are going to make a one-pot dish using our faithful cast iron skillet, and we're going to make a savory chicken pot pie. So there's a lot of steps here, and we're going to stop and start as we go. But first of all, cheers! Drinking a fabulous Chardonnay from the Columbia Valley in Washington State, from Barron's Vineyards. It's a 2016 Chardonnay that I bought when I was visiting Walla Walla last year and fell in love with this winery, and sad because this is my last bottle of their Chardonnay in the house, so we're gonna have to restock soon. But cheers, here we go. So I have a cast iron skillet that's been heating up. Normally I start off with 2 tablespoons of olive oil, but we have a very big surface here. This is a 12-inch skillet, so it's a little larger than normal. So I actually have 4 tablespoons of avocado oil because that's a high heat intensity oil. And we have 2 cups each of our ingredients. 2 cups celery, 2 cups chopped carrots, 2 cups onion, 2 cups chicken, which we'll get to later. But first we're going to put in our aromatics, the holy trinity of cooking: the onions, the carrots, and the celery. I'm going to put them in the pot at the top. And what we want to do is saute these vegetables and get them good and done before we cook our pie. So we are just going to let these babies simmer, saute until they're soft. Our vegetables are simmering away. Our aromatic trinity of carrots, celery, and onions, and I added a little garlic off camera, has been sauteing now for a good 10 to 12 minutes, and the vegetables are tender. So we are going to start to give them their thickening agent so that we have a little bit of a creamy sauce in the chicken pot pie. So we have a 1/4 cup of cornstarch, and I'm just going to liberally put that all over our vegetables, and I'm going to stir it in. Okay, and now we are going to add an equal amount of fat, and in this case wine. We are going to add 1/4 cup of wine. I'm going to turn down the flame a little. And I think we need some more liquid here because it's a lot of stuff in this pan. So we'll throw in a little extra dab. That should do it. There we go. The vegetables are absorbing the liquid very quickly because I have the high heat on. And we have the cornstarch gummying up, if you will, around the vegetables, hanging on to them. So that's why we got to keep vigorously stirring it to get the cornstarch to cook out. And I think we have done a good job. So I have here some unsalted chicken broth in a box, and I'm just going to add this. Believe it or not, I did make real chicken broth fresh, but I had this box open, so I'm using it, and it's easy to pour. So just going to add a little more. Because again, what we're trying to do is just get a small amount of sort of cohesive sauce. We're not looking to make it drown in or make it soupy or anyway. We're trying to make it nice and thick for the pie. Okay, this is looking pretty good. So now I'm going to add my 2 cups of chopped chicken. And this morning what I did was I cooked about 1.5 pounds, 1.75 pounds of chicken thighs. That's where I got my chicken broth that's in the fridge. And we're mixing that in with our vegetables. Oh man, this is looking good. And because they don't take as long to cook as the rest of the trinity, I'm now putting in 2 cups of cremini mushrooms that have been stemmed, washed, and quartered by Mom Sous Chef. Thank you, Mom. Should say MoWino. Yeah, this pot's really thick. And we're doing double duty here. We're making tea and pot pie. We're going to add our frozen peas that have been slightly thawed. One just fell out of the pan, jumped. So maybe they're jumping beans and not peas, but we'll see. Got your teacup? Thanks. Unfortunately, Mom is not drinking wine with the chef today. She is having tea. Okay, so here we have our big cast iron full of yumminess. And, oh my gosh, this looks so good. I could just eat it like this. Okay. Now, we have not put any seasoning in this whatsoever. We've had the natural aromatics and fresh garlic that I dumped in while we were off camera. But because this is MoWino, and I do things off the books, I'm going to add some white pepper. And we're going to add a capful of herbs de Provence, because it's a nice blend of seasonings like thyme and marjoram. And this is what I'm going to be doing differently. I'm going to put in a heaping teaspoon of Dijon mustard. And basically, just going to stir all this in. And I think we need a little more broth again. Get a little more moisture in the pan. And now we're going to just stir all this, let it simmer for a while, and then... Hi! So we're now getting ready to put our pie together. So we have this fabulous mixture that is cooking on the stove of mushrooms, onions, celery, carrots, peas, and roasted chicken. Everything has been cut into about a ½ inch portion. The mushrooms are a little bigger because they're going to shrink as they cook. So now what we're going to do, we have our oven up to temperature to 430. We are just going to put on top a piece of puff pastry that is going over the edges just a bit. And I'm going to trim that because truthfully I don't want to mess in my oven. It'll probably just go on the side of the pot, but we're just going to be safe. Okay, so we have this puff pastry that I've put down, and I have an egg yolk that I have seasoned with the herbes de Provence, and I'm just going to paint the puff pastry so we get a nice golden color on it. Just painting it liberally to the edges and beyond. Okay, so because it's puff pastry, it's going to puff, and we don't want a craziness going on, but we do want some drama. So I'm just going to poke a few little holes. All right, so I'm going to turn off the top of the stove. The oven is hot, and we are going to put our pie in the oven. Oh, a very heavy pot. Okay, 430 degrees. We're going to cook this at least 30 minutes until the dough is, the puff pastry is golden brown, and we know that the insides of the pie are already hot and already cooked, so we're just trying to get the puff pastry hot, and puffy. So just, you have to judge it by your own oven, judge it on what pastry you're using, and of course you could use a traditional pie crust, but this is what we had in the house, so this is what we're using. Cheers! Live life, taste life.